Hey, this is Artie Astor with episode 14 of You Tell Me. This is one that might make some people hate me. It might not. I really don't know. But I feel like I have to preface what I'm about to do with saying that I like Guns N' Roses. I like Slash. I think some of the most iconic rock guitar solos of all time have been written by Slash. Now, I need to get that out there because I tend to get criticized when I speak truthfully and honestly about musicians that some people have this rabid love for. And I understand Slash in some people's minds is like untouchable. You say one bad thing about him or one unpleasant thing about him, and the whole world goes crazy. It's like the earth stops spinning. Whatever. I want to play a part of a Slash interview, and then I'm going to ask a question, and I want to get y'all's opinion on it. So let me pull it up. There it is. I'm sorry, it is in like 180p. It is really not good quality. This is from Guitar World. And this is an interview with Slash, and he's talking about scales and improv and things like that when it comes to music.
He's like my sort of technical guitar mentor. He always is telling me all these different things that you can do, but I usually find a hard time applying them. There's a lot of just weird tricks that you can do, starting on different notes, putting a different scale and different key, this and that and the other.
He's probably talking about modes there. I think guitar players focus on modes more than piano players do because on a guitar, scales are just shapes, and it's easy to go from one scale to another or one scale into another mode and not have to remember any guitar shape because the shapes are all translatable.
I can't play with feel or any kind of emotion and be able to sort of mix those two. So I just sort of make it up as I go along. But the main thing that I do go for is obviously the rock sound. That really is the simplest scale, and then just putting different notes in that.
So this is something that I think is interesting. He goes for the rock sound, which is probably the minor pentatonic scale or the major pentatonic scale. Prince used a lot of good major pentatonic phrasings in his solos. Slash, I think, does, I get the impression he does more minor pentatonic scales, and especially because that's closer to the blues scale, and I kind of get the impression that Slash kind of does more of a blues rock sound. But I love what he said here. He goes for the rock sound, or let's just say it's the pentatonic scale, whether it's major or minor. There's only 5 notes, right? But then he says he adds notes. Look, let's go back.
And then just putting different notes in that.
You see? So he starts off with a simpler scale, probably the pentatonic scale, 5 notes, and then puts different notes in that. So he's playing the minor pentatonic, let's just say 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 5 notes, right? Well, what if he wants to add a natural fourth, or add a 2, or add a natural 7, or add the flat 6? So he's able to kind of come at it simplistically and then see how things can be decorated. So he does come at it with a simple approach. But he does give a couple examples of himself playing, and I think it's very interesting to watch. So let's go back and watch that.
I stick with as many different rock positions as I can get. We're playing in C, right? And we're playing, 1-4-5 progression. Then
1-4-5 progression would be blues. So him talking about a rock progression or a rock position, it could be the blues scale. That's kind of what I'm getting, especially because he referred to a 1-4-5 progression, which is blues. That's just simply a blues progression.
we've got two different sort of very standard scales for it. And they have that scale all the way up the neck.
I
Right?
think it's interesting too how he just plays it, and it's not necessarily the most polished.
The other one is the sort of, which is sort of an A really, but anyway, and those are two, and then you just start breaking them up like, so you bring
All right, this is the part where people are going to hate on me because they're going to think I'm picking on Slash, and I'm not. but he did do a couple examples playing through the scales. He's never been the super most polished player, and I don't think he's even trying to say that he is. In fact, he comes right out and says he kind of makes it up as he goes along. And he said that in this interview.
I know a lot of guitar players that are amazing with scales. I know I always talk about Steve. He's like my technical guitar mentor. He always is telling me all these different things that you can do, but I usually find a hard time applying them. There's a lot of just weird tricks that you can do, starting on different notes, putting a different scale and different key, this and that and the other. And I can't play with feel or any kind of emotion and be able to sort of mix those two. So I just sort of make it up as I go along.
I don't know if he means Steve Vai, but someone is his mentor when it comes to the technical side of playing guitar. But did you hear what he said? He can't really apply any of that, but still play with emotion. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to give away too much. Um, but he wants to be able to play with emotion. And he talks about using just a couple of scales, simple scales, the rock scale, he calls it. And by listening to what he played, it sounded like the major pentatonic scale is what he played. Um, so now, whatever the case is, it's a simple scale, and he wants to add notes in there. He wants that elasticity. He wants that ability or that freedom to be able to add notes. He doesn't want to make it too technical because he can't play with, again, emotion. So here's what I want you to tell me. How necessary is it in music to have a theoretical, technical, and mechanical knowledge of your instrument? We see it over and over again that there are bands. I mean, Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters comes right out and says there are times he writes songs and he has to turn to the rest of the band and be like, "What chord am I playing? What is this?" Yeah, because he doesn't even know what chord he's playing sometimes, which, trust me, I've had people send me music and then I ask them for the chords so I can put saxophone over it, and they say they don't know. It can be a little bit frustrating to not know what chords are being played, things like that. How important is theory when it comes to creating music? It's a really good question, especially because Siri just turned on. Oh, she's turning on again. I mean, come on, man. I said theory. All right, she didn't turn on, just making sure. How important, though, is theory in the process of writing music? Do you think Slash would have been a better player and would have written better guitar solos if he took the time to practice all of these different scales, all these different modes, all these different positions, all these different theoretical concepts that have to do with the guitar? How important is theory, in your opinion, when it comes to writing music? Now, I know that some of you are going to say the answer is simple. I know that not everyone's opinion on the matter is the same, but I'm curious. What do you think? You tell me.